right, welcome back, watch fans. We're talking about this week in watches, another exciting episode on the Watch Reporter channel. We're going to be talking about Mark Zuckerberg's Patek Cubitus. What does this mean for the watch market? What does this mean for Patek Philippe? Is he damaging the brand? Is this going to further wreck the brand? I mean, is this going to really take this even a notch lower than where it is today? And of course, we have Roman Sharf, our favorite Muppet Boiler Room channel. Roman Sharf, our good friend. Is he about to sell Patrick Bet David 10 million in watches? And of course, FP Journe sets the new $8 million record. So let's get into what is the, by the way, what does the FP Journe mean for independent watches, for the independent watch market? And was the Rolex Daytona Rainbow 5 million overpriced? I don't know. What do you think? I'll leave your nasty and vicious comments below. And of course, by the way, our auction is coming up. That's right. The Watch Reporter Dial Market Auction, December 4th. We're going to have Rolex, AP, Patek, vintage bargains. Sign up. Click the link in the video description below to get a free newsletter so you can get notifications. Now, what is the deal with the Zuckerberg Cubitus? Hang on a second. Let me make this. Let me just change this up over here. I'm going to change this up. Okay, there we go. We're going to change that up. Okay, so of course, Mark Zuckerberg was photographed, or he did a video or something. I don't know what's going on with this guy with a haircut, the afro. I don't know what's going on, but he's we've seen that he's actually been buying all these watches. We'll talk about the quality, the taste level. Over the last couple of months, this guy has been getting big into a lot of independent brands, interestingly. And I mean, some weird watches, but of course now he did a video. I guess he put out this video. I guess he's promoting some sort of, I don't know, Meta glasses, and he's wearing the Patek Philippe Cubitus. So this is in the wild, right? This is on the wrist. And let's say it's kind of interesting. It's actually interesting to see this because technically this is their target market. That's what Patek is trying to reach. They're trying to reach like the younger consumer. I think this guy's what, like in his late 30s? That's kind of their target market. I don't know what is going on with this T-shirt. I don't know what is this. What the hell is this? It's got some wrinkles. It's the guy is not the paragon of fashion and style. Let's put it that way. The taste level is highly questionable. We'll talk about that soon. But good question. You got to contact our good friends at the CSE. It's all in their hands right now. We'll have more to say about that later. Right now, we're just talking about, this is the watch program. And by the way, we're going to be talking about the auction coming up, which is, hey, if you're an investor in Dial Market New World Solutions, that will be interesting because that is the inflection point for revenues. So stay tuned. All right. So what is the deal with the Zuckerberg watch collection? What does this mean for Patek Philippe? Look, this is an absolute disaster. This guy has horrible taste. I mean, we'll show you some of the watches. I don't know who's selling him these watches. Is somebody telling him this is a good idea? Is he just doesn't know what he's doing? But interesting, they all have kind of the same vibe, right? They're all essentially dress watches. But kind of funky ones. So we'll take a look in a second. But so this is what it looks like in the wild, right? This is like the Patek target customer. Look, this watch is a piece of shit. I mean, really, it's a total disaster. We've talked about it before. Again, very lazy design. It's a ripoff of the Nautilus. Why do they need that hinged design if you're just doing this octagonal shape? I don't know. I don't know what these guys are thinking. But listen, who knows? Maybe there'll be further iterations. Maybe it'll evolve. But terrible. This is a terrible terrible development for Patek. Very, very, how shall we say, it's not good for the brand. Mark Zuckerberg is not the Patek ambassador, but at the flip side, what's interesting is, in a way, it is positive because, look, Thierry Stern is basically, we've talked about how he's, really taking Patek downhill, but commercially, this is probably going to be successful, right? I mean, they're churning these things out by the millions. The Cubitus, that is. You're seeing on Instagram all these lowlives with the Cubitus. They just got this, right? And this is what they're trying to do. So again, look, here's the Zuckerberg. Let's do the Zuckerberg collection here. Again, he's got the perpetual, the inline perpetual, a dog with fleas. So there's his wife. I don't want to hit below the belt, but not such great taste. Again, in watches, women, etc. Sorry, it is what it is. That's the inline perpetual. What is this outfit? I don't know. I don't understand what's going on here. I don't understand this. The worst FP Journe. I mean, if you're going to get an FP Journe, I don't know what to tell you. What else? Let's keep going. He's got, and this dog with fleas, the De Betun, which is another disaster. But it's weird because this guy is a young guy. He's wearing dress watches, essentially, right? You would think he'd be wearing, I don't know, Rolex Submariner or something, steel sports watch, something that's, again, another FP Journe, right? Look at this. This is kind of the classic one. Relatively basic. This is what, like an 80 grand watch? I mean, this is not really, yeah, there we go. I mean, listen, if you're going to get an FP Journe, you're going to see in just a second the type of FP Journe. You got to have the tourbillon. That's what they're known for. So I don't know. But again, it's weird because usually these tech guys, they're not into this kind of like watches and material stuff. They're usually, I don't know, they usually wear like an Apple Watch or something because they want to show you that, they're not materialistic. I mean, the guy could be a billionaire and he's wearing like a $20 Casio. But somehow, I guess Zuck is wearing gold chains. He's wearing gold chains. Soon he'll be wearing 2 chains, with the diamonds and all that. Like he'll probably be wearing one of those giant Cuban link chains. Those giant chains, like a 5-pound chain on his neck. Did he get this JLC? Again, if you're going to get a JLC, this is not the one to get. I mean, like, it's like, these are all like the worst examples. Honestly, these are the worst example. The JLC. This is like, by the way, I love a JLC, but this is not the one to get. I mean, this is like a dog with fleas. I mean, shit. I mean, you get the dual time. They make a perpetual calendar. They make so many great watches, bigger sizes. Why would you get this? And it's kind of strange. I mean, he wears these T-shirts. You're not really supposed to wear like this type of watch, which is kind of a formal watch with a T-shirt. But this guy, what does he know? I mean, it's just not a good look. It's a hot mess. It's a hot mess, but it's going to be bullish for Patek because he's their best ambassador. All these tech guys now, they can feel comfortable buying a $80,000 watch, $100,000 watch because Zuckerberg has one, right? So that is very, very bullish for the watch market. Actually, Zuck is probably one of the best things to happen to the watch market. That's the reality, and he's going to do very well for Patek. So again, no matter what we say about the watch is garbage, he's got bad taste or whatever. Look, if you're going to judge a beauty contest, you don't pick the girl that you think is hot. Okay, you pick the girl that you think everybody else is going to think is hot, right? Because everybody else got different tastes. But you want to pick what the mass, the unwashed masses are going to want, right? And this is what the unwashed masses are going to be told is the thing to get. Which is the Cubitus. And again, this is going to be a dog with fleas. For now, it's kind of a hot watch selling at a premium. Okay, let's move ahead. Let's move to the next topic here, which of course is The auction results at Philips. Okay, Philips, huge sale, right? They got the FP Journe. Now, this is the FP Journe that Zuckerberg should have bought, right? $8 million American, basically, all in, right? So this, again, what made this important and what does this mean for the watch market? So, okay, you all know the story by now. It's, hang on a second, let me just pop in a link here in case any of the punters want to join. If any of the punters want to join, oh shit, sorry, wrong link. There we go. Let me pop this in here. If any of the punters want to join, we will have this opportunity for them. Okay, so let's talk about FP Journe. A couple of interesting benchmarks at the Philips sale. This FP Journe sold for, what is it, 8 million plus. Again, what's the reason? It's the really, it's his second, it's really the first watch that he ever sold, right? Second watch he ever made, first watch he ever sold, and of course it's the class. It's got everything you want. It's a tourbillon with the, he's got a little bit of a complication in there, all the good stuff. Handmade, obviously. It's very steampunk type of look. This was made in 1994, by the way. So, it's a relatively modern watch, right? Relatively modern watch. Now, a couple of years ago, this would have been, I don't know, a couple hundred grand, 500 grand maybe as a novelty. But FP Journe all of a sudden became very hot. We can talk about all the reasons why it's hot. We can do all that. But this is this overpriced? What is the value of this? I don't know. It's people are into the brand now. It's becoming a hot brand. Historically, it's an important. It's the guy's first watch that he made, so it's going to have some momentum. Where is this going to be 10 years from now? I have no idea. This is like super speculative. The number of people who are buyers for this it's a small market. In 1993 is when this came out, 38 millimeter. But it's actually very bullish for independent brands. Why? Why is this bullish for independents? Because it sets a new benchmark. It sets a new benchmark, and it basically tells people, hey, you can make a lot of money with independent watch brands. So the speculative fever is on. Okay, now everybody's going to be looking for, hey, what's the next hot, independent watch brand? Is it going to be MB&F? Is it, there's a whole bunch of these guys out there, right? There's about a dozen that are very interesting. So everybody basically is going to be speculating on what's going to be that next hot independent brand, because they're all going to have dollar signs in their eyes thinking, shit, maybe, my watch is going to be worth $1 million, right? Like, for example, you got this brand, what's his name? What's the guy? We've covered it here. It's the guy, the young guy. He just came out. It's what the hell is it? It's anyway, we've got videos on. But that watch is going what, for 50 grand, 75 grand right now. Beautiful watch, and people are going to be looking at that and saying, hey, is that going to be the next hot thing? Listen, it's just like the art market, right? It's kind of like when you have like a hot new artist, right? Look, what happened with, again, the watches and art, very parallel. And we're going to be talking about that. So watches and art are actually very kind of interlinked. The market dynamics are similar. At the high end, the buyers are the same to some degree. And what happened in the art market was, let's talk about sort of contemporary art, right? Back in the early 80s, right? In the early 80s, all of a sudden, people really started buying the contemporary artists. It became the thing, right? Like people would go to Soho on the weekends, in New York, and, they'd go to the galleries. It was the thing, right? You had all the baby boomers. The baby boomers started making money, and, the baby boomers also were educated. So they knew a little bit about art, right? Not like the new generation. Or actually, my generation wasn't really educated. I think the millennials are a little bit more into it. But the Gen X was the laws of generation for art. But So the baby boomers started buying art, right? And all of a sudden, you had, prices started going crazy. You had Basquiat, you had George Condo, you had what's his name? Who's huge? Forget me, Basquiat. Everybody's saying, oh, Basquiat, oh, 50 mil, oh, great. He was really not considered that. I mean, he wasn't considered an important artist back then. It was Julian Schnabel. Julian Schnabel with the broken plates. That was the hottest artist. Julian Schnabel was the guy. Now his paintings are 100 grand. Well, they collapsed. Now they're coming back. You can get one of his good one for like 100 grand, let's say, right? Whereas Basquiat is now, 50 million bucks for Basquiat. Schnabel is going to be 100 grand. 30 years ago, Schnabel was 500 grand, let's say, and Basquiat was 50 grand. So you see the dynamics. But what happened was people started speculating. Everybody wanted the next, and all of a sudden, the contemporary art market exploded, right? And it was very, very speculative. People always wanted the next hot artist. Prices shot up. There was speculation, and again, they also crashed back down, right? They also crashed because, we'll talk about some of that stuff, but it's not always sustainable, right? But the point is, the FP Journe is very bullish for the market because now, it's kind of like the first real big auction sale for contemporary art. And people are going to realize, wow, you can make money with this. Actually, historically speaking, the real first contemporary sale was in the 1960s, the Skull collection, which was a guy who he owned a bunch of taxi cabs in New York. He had a fleet of taxi cabs, and he was buying his first sale was early pop art, I think it was. No, what was his big? I think the first sale he did was he sold his abstract paintings and bought pop art, or he bought, anyway, it was in the 60s. It was a huge sale of living artists, guys like Rauschenberg, Warhol, etc. And I think they brought in a couple $1 million, which was huge numbers, in the 1960s. And it was crazy. Bob Rauschenberg was pissed off because he's saying, wow, you bought my painting for, $2,000, and how dare you sell it for $100,000? You're making money off me, because the guy's a Marxist communist, right? I mean, Robert Rauschenberg probably was worth a couple $100 million when he died. I mean, he was a very wealthy artist, right? But it bothered him that some guy made money by, selling his painting. I mean, the guy put up money for basically something that's worthless. God forbid he makes a profit. But anyway, very bullish for the market, FP Journe. Let's talk about what is not bullish, which maybe it is bullish, but let's take a look. Which is this Rolex Daytona Rainbow. The Rolex Daytona Rainbow sold for, what is about $6.5 million, I guess, US roughly. I mean, this is a piece of garbage, basically. So why is this so much money? Because, it's a regular Daytona. There's no difference between this Daytona and like a $20,000 Daytona, a $15,000 Daytona of that period, right? The only difference is that it's white gold, and this was the first one they did with this rainbow, gem set rainbow bezel, which is a total disaster because the watch is basically useless. That's where you have that tachymeter, whatever you call it, whatever it is. So now it's like a toy. It's crazy. Look, form follows function. You're not supposed to have the gem set on a bezel that's used for a function, right? Like whether it's a GMT, a Submariner, or this, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's the dumbest thing I ever heard of. It's sort of like, it's like what's the example? I don't know, a solar powered flashlight that you could charge at night. I don't know, it's just dumb. I mean, the dial is, you get the diamonds. I mean, it's probably impressive, but it's very gaudy, very tacky. But historically, it's the first Daytona Rainbow. So somebody was willing to pay $6 million because it's a historical first in 1994. before they really started doing them. I don't see any value in this because there's no horological value. Mechanically, it's just basic Daytona, zero horological value. It's just a novelty. And I don't think that's going to last. I think this is not and again, it's a Daytona, nothing special, mass market brand. Again, it's a one-off piece, but so what? I mean, this is going to be a disaster, I think, for somebody. Look, there's watches that are, look, there are watches that are important and there are watches that aren't. By the way, where's our good friend Bruce Lee, the Hong Kong super collector? He was telling us about this, the IWC ceramic. This is actually historically an interesting watch, right? Ceramic perpetual calendar, and it sold for good money, $30,000. It had a low estimate, sold for $30,000. 8 to 16 sold for 30, but 10 to 20, whatever, sold for 30,000. So that's pretty good. Let me see what else was interesting in this. The price is actually, listen, the auction, this sale did actually pretty well. Of course, this is the infamous Al Goldstein Audemars Piguet. We did a whole video, Al Goldstein of Screw Magazine and the Midnight Blue TV show. Famous legend, a legendary cable show host. Anybody who is living in Manhattan in the 80s, 90s knew who Al Goldstein was, or even the 70s. He was a legend for free speech, and he had a major watch collection. I mean, he came across like a filthy, disgusting guy, but he was actually a highly educated, brilliant guy. He was actually a genius. And he could be extremely articulate when he wanted to be. A great writer also. But he came across like this disgusting, that was part of his shtick, right? But he had a crazy watch collection, very gaudy. He just bought everything, whatever, random stuff. But this was his watch, and it sold for 40, basically right at the low estimate, more or less. The only thing of value here is, again, you get the perpetual calendar. We love this movement. It's kind of, I mean, would I buy this watch? Absolutely not. But it's an interesting historical watch. So there we go. Of course, there we go. Al Goldstein, Midnight Blue. He's the only guy that would engrave his own name in the back of a watch. I mean, that was Al. That was Al, a living legend. So again, we got some interesting prices. Maybe we'll have Bruce Lee on. We'll talk about this. Holy shit, look at this. I didn't even see this. So this one, the AP Tourbillon, this is a model we talked about before. I told you guys this is a great deal at $20,000. These things are going for 25 grand 18 months ago. Now they're in the 40s. This one sold for about 110,000 US. Why? Because it's the mother of pearl white gold. There's very few of these in this kind of configuration. But yeah, it's not a very popular watch. It was never popular. It was always a bit of a dog with fleas, but this is a real number. So that's going to make these go up in price across the board. It's going to lift. It's going to lift all that, the basic models. So the basic models are going to be trading higher, and that's what happens. You get a benchmark sale, the Cartier crash. I've been saying that we're seeing the absolute top in the Cartier crash. I mean, this is a piece of garbage watch, honestly. I shouldn't say that. It's okay, but it's a $30,000 watch. Okay, maybe on a good day. Nothing special about it. People are going crazy for it because, I don't know, some rapper wore this. I don't know which one, but I don't know, it was Jay-Z or one of these guys. I don't know. They're all the same to me. And every wanker is now getting into these. It's a dog with fleas. And at some point, a lot of people are going to be left holding the bag with this. It's going to be really bad. Seriously, very, very bad. Let's talk about some benchmarks. Okay, this is interesting. Patek Perpetual Calendar Minute Repeater. $1 million and change. solid. That's pretty much what you expect for this 800. Yeah, kind of that range. So the watch market, very healthy. These people are saying the watch market is dead. No, very, very healthy. These are very strong prices we saw. Very strong prices in the sale. Daniel Roth, almost 100 grand now. Beautiful watch, by the way. This is a beautiful, 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 beautiful watch. Look at the stripes. So Daniel Roth also, it's going to set a new benchmark for Daniel Roth. These are going up, okay? What's the point I'm telling you here? What is the point of this? The point of this is that, you got to follow the trend. I'm going to show you right now, if you want to make money with these watches, I'm going to show you what the next big trend is going to be. Because again, this is stuff we've been talking about for the last year. I told you about the AP Cobra. I told you about the the Tourbillon AP. All those watches have gone up doubled or more in the last year. By the way, this is Bruce Lee's favorite watch. I don't know if he bought this. I think he wanted a bid on this. 60,000, 75,000 basically US, 70,000 US. Because it's got the onyx. I mean, just a basic Breguet, but this black is actually onyx. So it's actually, these are kind of rare, beautiful. Is it worth 75,000? No, it's not. But it is what it is. It's just a regular Breguet, nothing special. I don't understand this Philippe Dufour, seriously. Like, Bruce Lee tried to explain this to me. It's just, I don't know. It's too sophisticated for me. I don't understand why somebody should pay, this kind of money for this watch. Historic, not historic. It's not a good looking watch. It's really not. I mean, I like the hands. I like, some things are nice. But you know what? I got a Patek Philippe Travel Time. It's got the same configuration. 3, 6, 9, 12. Dolphin hands like this. 20 grand. And it's got a dual time. So I don't get this Philippe Dufour. Somebody needs to explain Philippe Dufour to me. It might be too, intellectual for me. Vacheron, there's some watches got serious prices. This is Gerald Genta, again, did very well. I wonder what our friends at Future Grail, how they did with theirs. Maybe we'll review that later. AP, not so great. The perpetual, so AP, I don't know. It's a little bit. It's not an exciting watch. Not an exciting watch. So maybe that's why. But again, this was a very, very strong auction, which I think is going to set the tone for vintage. So the vintage market is back, baby. Vintage is back. Now, speaking of making money with watches, guess what? Guess what, my friends? This channel, it's right, the Watch Reporter Dial Market. We're going to have our first online auction. That's right. It's going to be an online auction. You heard it here first. I gave you a preview last week. And the catalog is going to be live tomorrow, I think. I don't know why it wasn't ready. Okay, it's going to be ready tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. It's going to be live. So I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview of what we have. And if you want to register for any of these for the auction, just make sure you sign up for a free email. Link is below. Okay, so Dial Market, that's the parent company of Watch Reporter. That's right. Unbelievable, but true. And it's a public company. Well, we don't know. We don't know. Right now, the stock has been halted by, the exchange, these lowlives at the CSE. Listen, Canada is a cesspool. No wonder I'm not going to get into the whole political thing, but hey, you've seen the cover of The Economist magazine, the Financial Post. The Canadian economy is in trouble. One of the reasons is they got this very leftist Marxist, government in place. You got these bureaucrats, regulators gone wild, and some guy has a vendetta against me, and in their exchange, and he's basically halted the stock, and we'll talk about that later. But anyway, it doesn't matter, whatever. If that doesn't work out, we'll take it out. Doll market, we'll move it on to the over-the-counter free market. Freedom is very valuable, and Canada is not a free country. So, which is too bad, because we're going to have a massive, massive exponential revenue growth right now. So I'm going to give you a preview of the auction, doll market auction. And of course, you can sign up for the auction, which is going to be going live this week. The actual live sale is going to be December 4th. So what do we have? So speaking of making money with watches, right? What are the trends? Patek Philippe, onyx dial. This is the hot thing. Shaped case, very similar to the Cartier, except this is the real watch. Cartier is not a real watch. Okay, Cartier is junk. By the way, you got some dust. You see those little white dots? That's dust. It's like a estate fresh. Like literally, it came from an estate. So it was lying in somebody's shelf for probably 20 years. The movement works. This is basically a $12,000 watch. We're starting it at $5,000 plus premium. Now, there is a slight problem with it. Why are you getting a bargain? I just want to show you full transparency. These onyx dials, a lot of times they can crack. And this one has a slight hairline crack right there. You cannot see it when the watch is on your wrist. You can't. We have it like in this, like a raking type of light, just to show it to you so that you know what you're getting. By the way, you're getting the original buckle, which is very important. That's $600 for Patek buckle. Great watch. What you want to do is bring it to a watch where you can just have them open it up and just, get the dust off the dial. It'll cost you $50 or whatever. So definitely you want to do that. But I would leave the dial as is. It's fine. It's a vintage watch. It's 50 years old. No problems. We got the Precision. Rolex Precision, very rare. These, by the way, this is going to be the next thing to move. You want to get rid of this strap. This came with a watch. Again, get your own strap. $200. You'll have a beautiful custom strap. Incredible condition. Look at the bezel here. There you go. You're not going to find that anywhere else. Very, very difficult to find. By the way, these are not photoshopped images. It's all just taken as is, just because we don't want people to. I want people to be happy, and so the watch is better than it looks. By the way, this has a fresh, brand new service from LA Watchworks, which is $700 basically. So the watch is ready to wear for, like, you can wear this for the next 100 years. Just put on a new strap and you're good to go. What else do we got? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got to go. The problem with Canada is, here's the problem. I'll tell you what the problem with this. You got in the U.S., if you're a public company, all you have to do is just have a disclosure. If you have whatever it is, just here's what's going on. Okay, no problem. In Canada, these guys get involved in your actual business decisions. Like, in other words, if you want to do a merger, if you want to do something, you got to get permission for everything. It's like you got to go to your mommy and daddy and ask for permission for every little thing. How do you run a business? How do you run a public company? You can't. That's why Canada is suffering. That's why those markets are down 90%. The CSC index is down 90% in the last 5 years. That's right, down 90%. And by the way, I've created probably, a couple of $1 billion in value for Canadian investors, public companies. I've had a dozen stocks that went up between, 100% and 5,000%. In that time, they raised $300 million. Companies like Peak FinTech, stock went up 22,000%. They raised $100 million, $50 million as a result of my help, because of the stock's liquidity and the stock going up. Nextech went up 1,500%, or maybe 13. I don't know, whatever. They raised $100 million. Of course, the stock has been down since I haven't been involved. Visby, that went up 1,500%. They raised 20, 30 million. You do the math. About $300 million has been raised. Hundreds, maybe thousands of jobs have been created in Canada because of yours truly. No, I'm taking full credit for that, right? Do I get any thanks from these guys? No, no. They come after me saying, "Oh, you're being over promotional by saying, by talking about." By the way, when you put out a press release in Canada, you got to get permission for that also. And when we put out a press release and we talk about, hey, we got an auction coming up with Rolex, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, these are the watches. They say, oh, you can't mention these brands because that'll be over promotional. I mean, that is the most ridiculous thing. I'm going to post those emails, but that's what these guys are saying. They can't tell. They don't want me to talk about the products that the company is selling because they think that it's being promotional. Well, that's the business we're in. We're selling watches. Okay, it's like if you're a lithium mining company or you're a whatever uranium mining company, you're going to be saying uranium. It's like they're not telling those guys, hey, you can't say that you're mining uranium or lithium or gold, whatever, right? Because they're a bunch of Marxist, communists, and scumbags. Okay, so I'm going to move to the over-the-counter. And listen, it's time. The Canadians need to rise up and revolt. That's what needs to happen. Okay, it's about time. Anyway, yeah. So yeah. So it's. I know this guy. This Canadian guy. This guy has a personal vendetta with me at this CSC. But guess what? Guess what, Mark? Guess what? I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be making millions of dollars if I go to the OTC. And you know what's going to happen if I go to the over-the-counter? If we have to, unwind the deal, the Canadian investor is going to end up with zero, and the American is going to make millions. Okay, I'll be fine. It's your citizens you should be worrying about. Anyway, so what do we got? We got a Rolex Submariner Bluesy, the King Tut. I got a very similar watch. By the way, this is again, you got dust here on the crystal, not on the dial. It's mint condition. The dial is mint. These are terrible pictures. This should have been cleaned. But that's the watch. Comes with a box, no papers, just the box. And it's the Rehaut on the bezel. Again, I got the same watch, different serial number, whatever, but same watch basically. And great watch. So this you got the Rehaut in the bezel there, which is again, that's the transitional, and you got gold through the clasp. So again, this is probably going to sell for, I don't know, $9,000, which is a bargain plus premium. We got, of course, the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. This is, by the way, is a bargain. The watch looks much better than photos, just FYI. These are very, very close-up photos. So they're not flattering. Again, in the normal light, it looks great. Dial is mint, 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 mint. And these are going for 40 grand plus on the secondary market. This will probably sell for, I don't know, low 30s, maybe 30 grand plus premium, of course. So yeah, this could. By the way, watch only plus 2 links, no box, no papers, which is fine. It does come with instructions from AP, so they know the watch is legit. Let's see. Okay, what else we got? Okay, so speaking of making money with watches, if you want to make money with watches, exactly. Send the money now. That's right. Unbelievable. Okay. By the way, it's a joke. It's a joke. It is a joke. Yeah. No. This is. Look. Yeah. It's a serious situation. That's the problem with Canada. Like they can hold a stock. That doesn't happen in the U.S. The exchanges do not hold a stock in the U.S. unless it's like a fraud or something. Okay. In Canada, these stocks get halted for whatever reason. Like it's like old, and you know what happens? They end up in limbo. They end up in limbo for who knows how long. Who knows how long? And then basically, you can't get out, and you got all sorts of tax ramifications. I don't know. Like let's say the thing becomes worthless. How do you exit? I mean, how do you take your loss? I don't know. It's screwed up. That's what big mistake. I made a big mistake by by going the Canadian market. I hope it works out. I really do hope it works out because, look, I have a responsibility. I feel to shareholders. I want people to make money. But I have done everything I can. And we may have to look, there might be class action litigation against the CSE, this guy, Mark Faulkner, that whole group. That may have to happen. I mean, it may have to happen. There's going to be a hearing coming up in a couple of weeks. The lawyers are involved. So right now, there's just, that's what's going on. But there's serious issues here with the CSE. Which, by the way, is a private business. Okay, they're just a private business. Okay, and their big shareholder is a company called Urbana, which trades in the TSX, which is another garbage stock. Urbana, I don't know. They may have to mark down their. I think they own 49% of the CSE. Urbana, they're valuing it at $80 million. I think they may have to take a haircut. They may be having to take a haircut, which might destroy their stock. Maybe over the next couple of months, maybe there might be some developments. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, speaking of making money with watches, terrible picture. The watch looks beautiful, much more beautiful. The Patek Nautilus 3582. What happened with this? Okay, 3582. Excuse me, not Nautilus. Ellipse. By the way, this is a draft of the catalog. So this typo here. Look at the dust. This is dust, by the way. Some dust, some flaking. You just got to clean that off. Maybe we should have spent some money to get the watch cleaned up. By the way, you get the Ellipse buckle. By the way, speaking for the investors, just FYI, FitFam, just so you know, this auction for December 4th, we got 94 lots. The low estimate is 420,000 US plus premium, which means if everything sells, that's $500,000 in gross revenues for the company, $6 million run rate, which in theory would make New World Solutions worth, 10 times forward revenues, 50 million, let's say, divide by 200 million shares, 25 cents a share. That's right. The stock is positioned to be a 25-cent stock, assuming everything, but we're not going to sell everything. This is, again, the first sale we're doing, so only a fraction is going to sell. So, but in a couple of months, we'll be doing, I think we'll be doing close to those numbers. But this goes to show you, this company is we're set to have explosive revenue growth. I mean, look, this is the first auction, 400 grand potential sales. Next one in January is going to be the same thing. It's going to be every month. So that you do that 12 times a year, you're talking about, 6 million plus. But of course, it's going to be bigger because we're going to be we're going to get real consignments. This is the first one, right? By the way, you know what we're doing? Speaking of watches, art, that's one of our topics. Yeah, we got art. Speaking of making money with art, let me pivot for a second because, by the way, watches that have big upside potential, not the Submariner. I mean, these are dime a dozen. Again, this one is slightly. If you're going to buy a Submariner, you want to get this model with the Rehaut, the transitional, because they only did this for I think 2 years or 3 years with the engraving in the bezel before the ceramic. So this is going to be much more rare. You're not going to make a fortune, but it'll probably be like a $15,000 watch in 3 years, 4 years. So you're going to make money. You can't lose with Rolex. Rolex, you cannot lose. 3582. This watch, these are going for about 12,000 retail, cleaned up. So again, you buy this watch, dust it off, and you see got a little oxidation. That's gold, but you got oxidation there. But again, if you can pick this up for $6 grand, you're getting it at 50% off, and this is a classic. By the way, look how beautiful this thing looks. Hang on a second. So this is actually the glass. The glass goes over it's almost like the Apple iWatch. Ooh, this dust is terrible. All right, okay. Yeah, this okay, this is interesting. So this is a draft of the catalog. You know what? For the future, when we get these watches in, we're going to have to probably spend some money to clean them up if on these vintage ones, or at least um, take better pictures, because again, this watch is mint, but that's just dust on the crystal, not the dial, the crystal. So I don't know, just yeah, that this one is absolute mint dial, mint, 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 mint. Uh, and the case is really good shape, really, really good shape. To show you how good it is, take a look at this. So that's the buckle, not the buckle, the clasp, which is, the watch has definitely been worn. It's probably had a light, I think it's had a light polish at some point. It probably has. But you see, this thing is still in good shape. It's not, usually if they're really worn, this would be worn down, but it's very, it's very solid. So this is in solid shape. So these things are going up. The ellipses are going up in value. This one is, again, look at this beautiful dial. Unbelievable. Beautiful blue sunburst dial. Probably the best dial of all the ellipses on this series. And you got to watch out. A lot of them start flaking. This one is not. Speaking of making big money, so what do we got in this auction? We got art also. Art watches. Why art and watches? It's the same demographic. So what do we got? We got an Andy Warhol graphite drawing. This is an original Warhol drawing. You can get a Warhol painting, which he didn't even do. It's done by assistants. He maybe touched it up. His prints, he didn't do. It's done by assistants. This is the hand of the artist. So he actually drew this. And by the way, he was a great draftsman. By the way, that's a light reflection. That's just a light. So yeah, there's some reflections on the glass here. The guy was a great draftsman. How many original Warhol drawings come to market? Very rare, actually. So this is actually deep value. 40,000 to 60,000 is the low estimate. And well, we haven't. Okay, so first of all, they can do whatever they want. They're communists at the CSE in Canada. It's a Marxist country, basically. That's the direction they're going. And they probably think the stock is a scam because, look, they know the history of the previous company. These scam Coover things. They do plant-based foods, lithium. Then they're doing cannabis. Then they're doing blockchain. Then whatever the flavor of the month. So they probably think whatever, right? And we haven't announced the revenues. We haven't. They don't know. They don't. What you're seeing right now. Basically, you're getting inside information right here. Okay, we haven't shown this to anybody. Nobody has seen this yet. Okay, I think you're the only investor who's actually seen this. Because I'm actually surprised we get the shareholders watching this. But anyway, so you're doing actually what's called a channel check. That's the word. That's channel check. That's what when analysts, hedge funds, they actually go see a company. What's really happening in the market. They actually go into the stores, see how it's selling. They talk to the customers. They call the dealers. They actually see, are people buying it? That's what this guy is doing. That's what Fifth Fam is doing. He's actually saying, hey, is this legit? Well, there you go. Now this is what the value of actually doing your due diligence. So yeah, we're going to have this auction. Again, I don't know. We'll see what the results are December 4th. Hey, maybe it'll only do 50 grand, 100 grand. I have no idea. Maybe it'll do 5,000. I have no idea. It could be 500. I have no idea. It's an auction. We don't know. It's random. But look, I've been in that business before. It usually takes about 3 or 4 of them to start building momentum. Then people start buying. And again, it's gonna take us about 3-4 months. But I'm very confident we'll be doing probably 300 grand a month in business plus by March, April. So, anyway, so speaking of Warhol, I thought something very interesting. We're talking about Philips. And we got Philips, they got the watch auction. So the Philips art auctions are this is their contemporary sale. It's this week. And they have this. This is also pretty, actually, this is quite rare. So it's an Andy Warhol of Does anybody recognize this building? Anybody recognize this building? See if anybody in the comments knows what building this is. No, man, this is live, baby. Live. Send money now. Does anybody recognize this building? This building was built, you know by who? America's greatest president. That's right, it's Trump Tower. So this is actually Trump Tower. It's actually a fascinating story behind it. So this is a painting that Warhol did of Trump Tower in 1982, I think it was. So before the building was built, so the story goes like this, basically, if you read their notes. Oh, 1981. So this is Warhol and Trump. There you go. Warhol and Trump collab. And Trump is actually, he's not an art guy really. So, he's meeting Warhol because he's on the party scene, whatever. Warhol is like everywhere. And by the way, in 1981, Warhol's career was in the toilet. Like, you can get a Warhol painting for like, I don't know, 20 grand. They were giving them away, 50 grand. Today, those are 5 million. So a lot of the prices are basically up literally 100-fold. But he was in big trouble in the 80s. He was considered a hack, a has-been. And he was basically trying to hustle by making portraits of celebrities and whatever. So he meets Trump, and he says, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to make a painting of your building, Trump Tower." He's building Trump Tower. By the way, this is Trump's first real building. He did actually at that time. Hang on a second. At that time, the 80s, he only did his first real building was at the Grand Hyatt at Grand Central, the hotel. He built that. Very similar kind of design, but shorter. And he starts building Trump Tower in 81, which was, New York was at the bottom, really at the, on its ass, just coming out of bankruptcy. New York City was, Fifth Avenue was garbage. And he says, look, this is a great location, 57th Street and 5th Avenue. Well, technically 56th Street, but whatever. And he built this building, beautiful building, actually. At the time, it was incredible. Like, first of it, like, it was just revolutionary. And anyway, so Warhol comes to him and says, look, I'm going to make a painting of your building. And he actually did this off of the model. He comes to the office, Trump's office at 40 Wall Street, takes some pictures of the model, the architectural model, and he paints this. So I don't know where the Red Baron is. I have no idea. He's been MIA. Anyway, so this is going to be going up for sale with a $500,000 to $700,000 estimate. Now, what is interesting about this? Let me give you the tie-in. So this, very symbolic of the 80s. Again, Warhol, Trump, 80s, they go together like peanut butter sandwich, jelly, whatever, right? So what's interesting about this is this painting, and by the way, this is a kind of a dog with fleas in a way, because it's not a typical subject matter. It's not really, it doesn't have a lot of color. It's got a little bit of it has a little bit of bronze, actually, a little gold, because that's the color. By the way, Trump hated the paintings. And he didn't buy them. And Warhol was pissed because he made like 8 of them, and Trump like basically was just disgusted. He was like, "What the fuck is this? Get out of my office." And he didn't buy anything. But Bruno Bischofberger, who was a major dealer, top dealer in Zurich, major guy, Bruno Bischofberger, he did a show called Gems and Skyscrapers, 2001. So Gems and Skyscrapers, which was basically this. So he had this, and guess what? The Gems series, which was, hang on, which was this. Okay, so this drawing and the Trump Tower painting are tied in. because basically what Warhol did was first he would make a drawing, right? He'd make a drawing, and from that drawing, then he would make the screen print, the painting, whatever, right? So the gems series that Warhol did was he made a series of prints and also a couple of paintings, showing different gems. So this is an emerald. This is an emerald, okay? Imagine this is an emerald. So the actual painting is in color. It's green. It's a green emerald. And that was commissioned by a gem dealer in the 70s. I think Warhol did it on spec or whatever. But anyway, so this was for an important series, okay? And this is the only one of its kind. This is the original. It's not a print. It's not this is done by the hand of the artist. So this is tied in because this and the Warhol Trump thing was in the Bruno Bischofberger exhibit, not this drawing, the painting he had. This drawing, actually, maybe he had this. I have no idea. He may have had this. This came on the market, I think, only a couple of years ago. This was, and by the way, yeah, it's got the Warhol, Andy Warhol Foundation thing in the back. It's all legit, all 100% legit. So that is the deal over there. Let's talk about back to Philips. Back to Philips. Okay, so you got the Warhol skyscraper. By the way, dog with fleas. This thing is worth maybe 150 grand, maybe 200 grand, 250 on a good day, because again, it's atypical. The only thing that would make it valuable today is because it's relevant because, of Trump. So maybe a Trump fan will buy this or something. Or Trump himself is not going to buy because he doesn't buy art. He's not going to spend this type of money. He's very cheap. Great guy, but he's just, this is not what he buys. So, and this is a good size, 50 by 40 inches, 42 inches. But yeah, this is a dog. I don't think this will even sell. It might go for like 200 grand, 250. Because it's just, it's a landscape. People want, with Warhol, they want icons. Maybe it could be an icon. I don't know. It's just not the right image, basically. So this auction, actually, for Philips, this is kind of dogs with fleas, honestly. They don't have anything good. You got this crappy Picasso. Look at this garbage Picasso. 3 to 5 million. It's not even a good one. This is like a very weak, late 1964. This is like on a bad day he did this, a really bad day. The colors are weak. Look at this, bad colors. This looks very sloppy. Very weak. But again, look, that's what they're asking, 3 to 5 million. What's interesting is, this is a dog sale. Now, Jeff Koons, the sculptor. So Jeff Koons, his, what's crazy is this thing over here, which is basically, it's a fish tank with 2 basketballs, right? So this, again, tells you about kind of like in the 80s, right? We're talking about speculation with watches. Okay, so Jeff Koons comes out as an artist in the 80s. He becomes kind of hot, right? So this thing, I think, was selling for like 10 grand or 20 grand. I don't think they could give it away. He had a hard time. Actually, no, he was kind of hot for a little bit, then he fell off the map. Interestingly, Jeff Koons worked, I actually worked at the same brokerage firm where Jeff Koons worked. I think I may have sat at his desk. He may have sat at my desk like 5 years earlier. So he worked at Siegel Trading. That's right. He was a commodity broker, futures broker at Siegel Trading. What was the address? I think it was 50 Broadway. 50 Broadway. That was my first job as a commodity broker. I got my Series 3. I was 16. So I think it was 1989, 1990, I got my license, and I was cold calling people there. And Jeff Koons, I think he worked there like 5 years earlier. They told me about this guy. Yeah, the guy, he said he was a great salesman. By the way, they said this guy was an amazing salesman. He made a lot of money, and he loved to eat fried chicken. So those are the two facts. But anyway, so this thing was going for 10, 20 grand. I mean, it's kind of a joke, right? Now it's $4 to $6 million. I mean, Jeff Koons, but this is, kind of a joke, right? Damien Hirst copied this, when he did his shark and, all those cut up animals in the fish tanks, the famous Damien Hirst shark. This was inspired by this, okay? Damien Hirst owes, Jeff Koons, big thank you. 1985. So this has gone from, 20 grand maybe to $4 million, okay? Not bad, right? The only problem is you have to have that in your living room. So you got this Basquiat. But so this Basquiat is absolute garbage. With Basquiat, what you want is you want color. You want like reds, blues, yellows, black, yellow, red. You want those bright colors. And this is like a washed out white painting. It's just very basic. And this is going for 10 to 50 million, which is a joke. This is 1983. So this was originally, when this sold, this was going for $10,000. And I bet they had a hard time selling this one because this is like not the right example. Interestingly, when I was in the art business before I got back into the stocks about 10 years ago, I go to this lady on the west side to buy, she wants to sell me a painting. I show up at her apartment. She's got a crate sitting in her living room. No, in the hallway. She's got a giant crate. And I say, hey, what's, and by the way, she had some interesting art. I couldn't do anything with her because this lady was just crazy. She was nuts, wasted my time. I brought her a check for 60 grand or 35 grand, I think it was 35, something like that. It was a lot of money, 40 grand, whatever. It was a lot of money, right? For this Hungarian painting, Fulvist painting. And she's like, oh, how do I know the check is real? I mean, I was going to give her a bank check, a cashier's check, Wells Fargo. This lady was crazy. She was actually married to a guy who was a billionaire, basically. Anyway, I asked her what's in the crate. What she had in the crate was a giant Basquiat painting that she bought at this period, 1982, 3 for 10 grand. And I actually had a partner came in and we tried to buy it. And, she wouldn't sell it. Then she died. Painting went up at auction for like 25 or 30 million. And the whole family was crazy. There was a lawsuit. It was a disaster. The painting didn't sell or it sold. I forgot what the story was, but it was like this. It was white. And you do not want a white Basquiat, okay? You don't want a white Basquiat. No pun intended, but yeah, you don't want a white one. So let's talk. Okay, by the way, speaking of art, let's do a little more Phillips here. A little more Phillips. Just a quick modern day sale morning session. Yeah, let's see here. Again, this channel is all about making money with. By the way, then we're going to talk about Patrick Bet David watch collection review. So we got a Lawrence Calcagno painting, right? So these, you couldn't give this away a few years ago, right? You can get this for like $500, $1,000. Now the guys are becoming a very hot artist. It's 10 grand, 15 grand. In a couple of years, this will be 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 50. So this is one of the abstract expressionists, which is increasing in value at Phillips. And by the way, but this painting, it's a dog. It's 1983. You do not want a 1983 abstract expressionist. You want 1950s and 60s, maybe mid 60s. And guess what? Guess what, my friends? The Dial Market auction just so happens to have a Lawrence Calcagno painting from the prime 1962 period. There we go. 1962. This is what you want. And we're going to have a $1,500 starting price. It's probably going to go for like $4 grand. That's the back of the painting, and it's got a label from It was a gift of Gene Outland Chrysler. That's what's his name? That's Walter P. Chrysler's wife. 1963, she donated it to the Norfolk Museum, which became the Chrysler Museum. And then they probably sold it off, or maybe it was stolen. I don't know. Here it was exhibited in the 80s, this painting. So this is actually an important painting coming to market. By the way, guess what? This painting sold for like $500 a couple of years ago. That's right. Unbelievable, but true. $500. Today it's worth about $4,000. Actually, not four. It's probably worth eight to 10,000 in a gallery, maybe $12,000 in a gallery. It's probably going to sell for $4,000 in our auction. Let me give you one more before I bore you to death. Speaking of making money, huge money with art. Yeah, we got to clean this up. So we got a Dorothy Grebenak wool rug. What is this? So this is a very important woman artist, pop art, 1960s. Again, when you're talking about pop art, the artists that are important are the guys who were working in the early 60s. That was Warhol, Jasper Johns, Claes Oldenburg, Rauschenberg a little bit. She was part of that group, the early 60s. Everybody else, 1968, all that other, that's later. That's second wave. You want people who are the first wave. What's important about this is she was a woman. Okay, women artists are becoming very, very hot. Why? Because of the whole political correctness and whatever. But no, seriously, she actually deserved it. The reality is what happened was women artists were not taken seriously for forever, up until like the last 5 years maybe. So they were never respected. They weren't considered serious, even though there were some very important serious women artists. And, so they never really made money. And so it was very difficult for them. I mean, it's actually kind of sad. But anyway, so she basically was doing pop art, but she was doing these as woven rugs, using various iconography images. This thing here is a New York City taxi cab medallion. Licensed public hack. I've been called a hack also, a public hack. But this is a taxi cab medallion image. Very desirable because, again, what you want is you want her New York iconography, like the manhole covers, things like that. This was in a collection of, what's his name? Alan Stone, who's a major dealer. He's the guy that represented, Wayne Thiebaud? Again, guy sells for, tens of millions. And very, top gallery guy, discovered a lot of people. And that was in his private collection. This is going to be worth, in my opinion, probably a couple $100,000 in if you want to wait 10 years, maybe more. That's the back of the rug. This should go to an institution like a museum. This is going to be easily worth $200,000, $300,000 in a couple of years. Look, I've done this before, right? Like I was selling a guy named Manusher Yektai, an Iranian modernist painter, for $10,000 a couple of years ago. I was selling these paintings for $10,000 because I was buying them for like $2,000, even $1,000. I bought one for $1,000. I sold it for $10,000. Was I a genius? No, because I knew that this guy was a very important artist who would be increasing value. But you know what? I'm not in the business of holding it. I had to, I got bills to pay. Anyway, I sold these paintings to this guy. I probably sold more Manusher Yektai paintings than anybody else this is back 10 years ago. Today, those paintings are worth $100,000. Manusher Yektai is becoming an important artist again, being rediscovered. He's selling for big money. And same thing is going to happen with her. So let's pivot to next topic. So by the way, guys, if you want to sign up for our watches and art auction, click the link in the video description below. Here's what we got, a bunch of stuff. And we got stuff for every budget. That's right. We got stuff for every budget. From, 500 from we got old master paintings, some important old master paintings from Italian Renaissance. Dutch Golden Age, 1600s, Italian 17th century. What do we got here? Italian 17th Baroque era, important. I mean, this actually is a bargain here. 10 grand, Mastaletta School. What do we got? But we got stuff for a couple $100 also. All right, we got stuff for everybody here. Italian Renaissance attributed to Andrea del Sarto. If you ever go to the Florence, Firenze, you go to the Uffizi, Palazzo Uffizi, the Medici Palace, you're going to see, artwork by Andrea del Sarto. This painting is attributed to Andrea del Sarto, roughly 1500s. That's the back of the panel. It's an oak panel. That's what it looks like. These are old repairs, probably from 400 years ago. There you go. Italian Renaissance. And this can be yours for, probably about 15 grand plus premium. Beautiful frame. This frame is probably worth 10 grand. Hand carved Italian. I mean, unbelievable. And of course, we've got the watches. Okay, so let's pivot back to our next topic, which is our favorite Muppet Boiler Room channel, Roman Sharf. And so he's on the Patrick Bet-David show, which is this guy. And I don't know how he came up, but it's actually very interesting because they both are kind of tied in with Trump, right? So Patrick interviewed Trump on his podcast, and Roman bought Trump's sneakers, and it was at the thing. I think Patrick is a member of the Mar-a-Lago Club or something. And by the way, this guy actually does really very, very good business videos, stuff like that. I highly respect his business stuff. I was actually going to do a video about his watch collection, like one of our watch collection reviews. Because
that watch. So this is 6'2" when it comes to what that watch is.
Hang on, I was going to do them because, what do you call it? Because, yeah, hey, we're here to get clicks.
So this.
I was going to do a review of Patrick Bet-David's watch collection, but he only has a couple of basic watches. I was like, you can't really see him. So he's got what do you call it? He's got the Rolex Yachtmaster, steel blue dog. We've seen that. He's got some Nautilus. I'm not sure which one. A gold Nautilus, rose gold Nautilus. I think the one with the chocolate dial, which is a nice watch. He's got what else? He's got a dress Patek. I'm not sure. I think it's like it might be. It's kind of a mid-level complication, a lower-level complication. I forget. I'm not sure which one it is. And he's got, what else does he have? He's got a couple of, and he's got, of course, the Rolex Date in yellow gold with the champagne doll, which is garbage. Kind of a very basic collection. I mean, the guy's got very basic taste, but he's got Roman Sharf on.
This is a vintage Rolex Daytona back in 1986. And Rolex started what we like to call Cadillac pieces.
Here's what's crazy. So here's the crazy thing. So Patrick tells him, and I don't think he's lying. He tells him, apparently Patrick Bet-David bought a watch for his wife.
Will you just pick something
from luxury
flipping
bazaar.
around for 45
What
minutes?
difference does it make to you? I could be streaming my colon.
Here. Yeah, Mario Brothers. Yeah, that's it. So most expensive video game ever sold was sold for $2 million.
So I said, this guy collects comic books, baseball cards. But here's the crazy thing. This guy, apparently, he's got like $10 million in, these collectibles, baseball cards, comic books, which, I think is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of goofy. I mean, come on. I mean, that's for kids. Comic books, baseball cards. Yes, I know that stuff goes for big money at the high end, but come on, that's like, who are you going to impress with that? I mean, listen, you're not gonna like, tell some chick, hey, you want to come over and look at my baseball card collection? You want to see my Mickey Mantle card? No, you're never going to impress any woman with your baseball card collection. Now, if you tell, hey, you want to see my Picasso? You want to see my Warhol? Yeah, they'll come over to your house. of course, that was the old line. You want to come up and see my etchings. That was a famous Victorian line from the Victorian era. But yeah, I mean, even if they don't know anything about art, but everybody aspires to culture. Everybody aspires to art. Art is like a universal thing. I mean, anybody would be interested, even if they don't need to know anything about art. But if they'd be interested. Baseball card, you're not gonna impress anybody. And by the way, part of it at the end of the day is about the flex. It is about the flex, but also in terms of value, baseball cards, comic books, that's infantile. That's for like children, grown-up children, basically, right? So and that's not timeless. I mean, at some point, people are not going to be interested in baseball cards and comic books. I don't know when, but art is going to be forever. I don't know how relevant baseball cards will be in 100 years. I really don't. I do know that Picasso will still be relevant in 100 years. Monet will still be relevant. I don't know about Basquiat. Warhol probably. Again, people are not going to know who these images are. They're not going to know who Marilyn Monroe is 100 years from now. But they'll kind of get it at some, because the colors. Some artists are going to be relevant, but the comic books, sorry. Anyway, so he goes on the show and he's talking about. Okay, so he's.
It feels like sandpaper a little bit. This is all hand hammered.
Hang on. Wait. Actually, I'm going to do this. Wait, I'm going to do regular speed. Okay.
This hip hop artist as an ambassador, and they all flipped out. What are you talking about? World of Hip Hop, AP, where this, because remember, these are all.
He's telling about how AP got Jay-Z involved. And
suit wearing, white gloves, very conservative people. They only allowed him to create. They did 10 pieces in platinum. They did 50 pieces in rose, and they did 80 pieces in stainless steel. And they only allowed him to sell it in America. But when they sold like hotcakes, this thing came with an iPod signed by him, big box, awesome watch. And when they saw the success of that, that's when they loosened up a little bit. Oh, there it is.
And what did that? So they gave it to Jay-Z, and then they sold the rest.
Jay-Z got one to wear one,
right?
As an ambassador.
He probably wore this to one of the Diddy parties. Again, this watch, absolute dog with fleas, but this is what put the Royal Oak on the map. Or back on the map is when the offshore started coming out. I mean, these were tacky watches.
Sure. And
by the way, Al Goldstein had offshore.
Sold the rest, and they sold like hotcakes. In fact, they sold over retail. This is back in those times. The AP offshores, limited offshores, were the hottest thing, and I was selling a ton of them. So, if a stainless steel went back then retail for somewhere around that $15,000 to $17,000 price range, they were selling on a secondary for $35,000.
Wow! And what's it selling for today?
17.
17,000.
Trade. This is when people ask me.
Okay, there you go. So again, watches, just like fashion, prices go up and down, and the dog with fleas, the Royal Oak, offshore, back to where it was 20 years ago.
About watches being an investment, you have to remember one thing.
You are joking.
Trends. Think about the trends, because this is what's selling. That's the latest and the greatest for AP. The Frosted Rainbow. This is the watch that trades at double its retail value today. Trends. Remember, this is something you put on and you wear and you flex with. And now what do? With the fuel of social media, you look up to those that you admire on social media.
What's make this special?
So this is first of all, it's a frosted finish. So if you notice, feel it.
Oh my God.
It feels like sandpaper a little bit. This is all hand hammered.
Daniel, can you zoom in on this? It feels amazing.
Okay, there you go. See, now the guy, he's hooked. He's hooked. He may buy one. By the way, that's a great watch. If he was to get one, I mean, that actually, the Royal Oak, I'm surprised Patrick doesn't have one, because he's a big fan of the Shah of Iran and, the Pahlavi. And by the way, we have a review of the Shah's watch collection here on the channel. And the Royal Oak, of course, was the Shah's watch. So I'm actually very surprised that Patrick does not have a Royal Oak. The Royal Oak is a classic. The Nautilus, not so much.
Right. You also have a rainbow bezel. So these are sapphire bezel done as a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously Rolex started with the Rainbow Daytona, and then everybody kind of caught on with it. It's also a skeleton double balance. It's a super accurate watch.
So what does this go for?
This is going to cost like $380.
This is $380, but in This, when it first came out, what was this when it first came out?
The MSRP on the watch is 168,000.
By the way, the big premium is those premiums are shrinking by the day. Modern AP, yeah, it's the modern AP. If you buy above retail, you're going to get hurt.
And it's selling for 380 right now.
Exactly.
What is it going to be worth in 15 years? Back to 180?
This is where I wanted to talk to you about investments, right? Notice I brought a little bit of everything. I brought the latest and the greatest and the hype, right?
Okay, so Patrick, this is crazy. This guy, Patrick, basically, again, he's got like 10 million in comic books. He sold his insurance company, which was, I don't know, some sort of MLM business, whatever, for I think a couple $100 million last year or whatever. So he's got like, he was like liquid for a couple $100 million, right? And he's actually a good businessman. He's a good investor. He's like, but he probably has like some money tied up in like stupid shit, like comic books, and he was gonna allocate 10 million into watches. So I guess he was asking Roman about, you'll see the watch, you'll see, which was like the dumbest. That would have been the dumbest decision. I'm surprised Roman didn't sell him that watch. Well, he doesn't have the watch. That's why he told him But this guy really, I think, needs to be very careful because he really, his taste is kind of questionable. Or it's hard to say. I mean, from what I'm seeing, it's not really good taste. So I don't think he really understands the watches. So I'd be very careful with 10 million. That's crazy.
Right. But I also brought you proven pieces. The last auction result on this watch was $1.25 million.
And that watch is how old?
This watch dates back to late 70s, early
Late
80s.
70s.
Oh,
Got
that's
it.
Nautilus with the Conjure. Yeah, that's overhyped. That's going to be going down.
So that's an investment. You buy that, you set that aside, you're going to be fine.
But then here's the thing. It also depends on the quantities, right? And who actually owns these watches in the market. So if you think about it this way, if I needed to get you 2 of these, you call me, it's like, I want one for me and I want one for him. I would say, sorry.
I like them a lot. So
that much?
Not that much. Idea of that watch that we looked at, you and I.
Okay, hang on. Okay. So Patrick, I guess he asks Roman Sharf, right? He asks this guy, but watch this.
The Grandmaster, Rob, if you can go to it. So this watch, I think Sly just sold his,
5.5.
right? 5.2. I think I saw 5.2. Was it 5?
All in, it was 5.5 million. 5.6.
You're adding the 22% or whatever.
Well, you have to.
Totally get it. So if you take the 22 out, you got to put it in there. I get it. Okay. So
The
what makes this
Grandmaster
watch
Chart.
unique? Where when you and I were speaking, I said, how many of these did they make? You're like, nobody knows how many they made. Is it 8? Is it 12? Is it 16?
It's not high.
Okay. So Patrick, basically, he was seriously considering buying this watch. By the way, I don't think the guy's lying. I think this is like, he's not a bullshit artist. I mean, this is like, he basically was, he was, because he does, I think he's had baseball cards, like $1 million baseball cards that he sold, whatever. He's willing to play in that game. Now, he was willing to pay basically, I don't know, $5 million or something like that for a Grandmaster chime, which would be probably, I think, a massive mistake. I mean, again, this is a modern Patek, ugliest watch ever made. I mean, it's a dog with fleas. Okay, you got you got a bunch of complications. It's got the charm, whatever. The problem with the watch is it's a dog with fleas. It's a huge watch. You can't really wear the watch, right? It's ugly also. That's the real problem. I mean, the problem is the watch is ugly as shit. Now, this is the famous one that, he was talking about. Sylvester Stallone sold this for $5 million. I don't know. I'm sorry. This is a disaster. But anyway, PBD was seriously considering buying this watch. So let's hear the conversation.
Is it less than 20?
Most likely, yes.
More than 10?
Yes.
Okay. So 10 or 20 of this they make. And it says the Grandmaster chime is the most complicated Patek watch ever made. It boasts 20 complications, a reversible case, and 2 independent dials and 6 patent innovations, the development, production, and assembly process.
But who gives a shit about all that stuff? It's whatever. The watch is ugly. It's like, you tell me about an ugly girl, you tell me how good she cooks and how good she cleans the house. I mean, those things are valuable, but, you want a nice looking face also, right?
Staggering. You mean to tell me this took 100,000 hours to make? 100,000 hours.
That's the
So
That was to develop the watch, not this model. I mean, this probably took, I think it might take them like a year to make this, or 9 months, but the development took a long time. Not to manufacture it.
I was about to buy one. You and I talked about this, and you persuaded me to get away from buying it. And we talked about the dollar amount. It was good when we had to. By the way, just so you guys know, if you're thinking about buying a watch, you can connect Roman and ask.
He's plugging some bullshit. Okay, anyway, so he was going to buy this watch, which is like, I mean, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's basically, yeah, this guy's got questionable taste. So what are they talking about? This is the whatever. Oh, that's the minute repeater. No, they're just talking. Okay, so hang on. Okay, let me go skip forward here. There's some interesting parts. There's an interesting part in the video. They're talking about the president's watches.
That's 41.
By the way, so there's a video about there's a site, watches of presidents. And I got to tell you, I'm no fan of Joe Biden, but I got to say, Joe Biden, he probably, again, I'm absolutely no fan, right? I think he's a lowlife, nasty piece of shit. I shouldn't say that. Like, actually, you're not supposed to say that about a president because it is a certain thing. But he's probably could easily considered the worst president in American history, among the worst. Never qualified to be president. I mean, anyway. But he actually had probably, I would say, he's the best sense of style probably since either Reagan or JFK. Talking modern era. I would say if you talk about guys with taste, you had Harry Truman, great sense of style. JFK, Reagan, and in terms of the modern era, Joe Biden. Listen, the guy, good dresser. He's got good taste. This is a beautiful watch, the Datejust 41 with a smooth bezel. He may have gotten that as a probably a bribe from China. Beautiful watch, great taste.
Jubilee. Okay, go to the next one, Rob.
Omega Speed Match.
Whatever. But for an old guy, he's trying to be casual, sporty, whatever. Listen, it's a great watch. Trump, I mean, I gotta say, Biden has much better sense of style than Trump. 100%. Really, he does have a sense of style, Biden. Although some of his suits, they kind of don't really fit around the collar, or maybe that's because of age or something. I don't know. But okay, so we're talking about. Okay, here's a funny thing. Okay, so talking about Apple watches. Here's a funny joke.
Same
Ever.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I couldn't
exactly
do
2
it.
weeks.
And by the way, my son, it's somewhere in the. I don't even wear it anymore.
Did you see that comedian that told a joke about the whoop?
No.
His name is Modi.
Where does a guy get a right to say what a woman is? Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
No.
Oh,
Can you tell me what a cat is?
This is actually a genuine.
Funny ass guy. He goes, these young people, I don't understand. I'm on a beach. I see this guy, and he goes, I'm like, what time is it? He goes like, oh, my watch doesn't tell time. He's like, well, what is it? It's a whoop. Find him. There it is. That's it. Oh my God, that's the most hilarious thing ever.
Small generational differences, little things. I wear a watch. Oh. I always wear. Since I was 13, I've worn a watch. Millennials don't wear watches. It's true. Apple Watch is not a watch, sweetheart. Checking your emails on your wrist is a cry for help. That's not a watch.
Oh, wait for it.
The summer begins. We're on the beach. I see Leo with a black watch. I go, Leo, what time is it? Because it doesn't tell you the time. Your watch doesn't tell you the time. It's not a watch. It's a whoop. A whoop? What does it tell you? It says, it tells you how you're doing. I said, well, I look at my wrist. I see a gold Rolex. I know I'm doing good.
I saw this guy a lot. He's hilarious.
What time it is.
Okay, there you go.
You were saying.
Was always what a tool watch, right?
Obama, terrible taste. I mean, this guy, I don't know. Yeah, this guy had a bad sense of style. I think he got some sort of stylist when he became president, so they put him in better suits and whatever. This guy is like, who the fuck? What a garbage watch. This tells you everything you need to know about this guy. I mean, this is a peasant watch. This is the type of watch that a Marxist or a Leninist would wear. A Rolex Cellini in white gold. What a dog with fleas. And he's got, what else? What's the other watch he's got? He's got some fake Chinese watch. I mean, garbage, absolute garbage, because Obama is garbage. Okay, so of course, Trump has the ellipse in yellow gold, of course. And of course, we are going to have an ellipse coming up in the doll market auction. We got two of them. We got in white gold. This is actually very rare. This is probably in the Japanese market. Case is in great condition. Look at that beautiful sunburst dial. There we go. Beautiful sunburst dial. That's going to be coming up at auction December 4th. Click the link in the video description below to get on our email list and be notified of when the auction is, so you can steal this bargain. And we're going to have other bargains. That's right, December 4th, including this Patek stone dial, onyx dial, Royal Oak solid yellow gold, dual time. That's right, 2 time zones and a date wheel. Unbelievable but true. We got the 3582 ellipse, very rare. I think that, you know what, there's dust in the dial, but it could be cocaine residue, because this watch is from like the late 70s, early 80s. And by the way, a lot of them come in this condition. It looks much better in person. This is an extreme close-up. You see there's a little bit of flaking at the edge. That's what happens with these things. This was probably worn in like Miami or something. So yeah, it's probably got cocaine from Miami. Probably from yeah, I don't know, Benny Blanco. I don't know, somebody. Early, probably around 1980, it got in there. But yeah, so there we go. Let's go back to the thing here. Okay, so we got, well, talking about other bullshit. Okay, let's talk about president's watches. And then Patrick asks about the Shah of Iran's watches. Now, Patrick should be watching our channel, because we have a whole
seniors.
We have the only video review
before 1969. You can qualify.
Trump. There's a gold.
This channel, we got the only video of the Shah's watch collection. That's right. We got a whole review of the Shah of Iran, Pahlavi's watch collection. Hang on a second. Let me go. Putin's got some decent watches. I mean, I don't know, this FP Journe or whatever. They're talking about the Jacob and Company. Patrick is talking about how great Jacob is. Now, Jacob watches are really trash. Yeah, even now, like whatever, they're very, the high complications, whatever. But that stuff is just novelty. It's really garbage. What is it? The Bugatti watch. They're all just novelties for low lives, for trashy people. I mean, the Jacob, basically his market is low life trash. Yeah, so I think Roman says he wants to buy one of these, which I think kind of tells you, I don't know, it's not a really good thing. I don't know if he's like basically getting paid to talk about it, but I mean, anybody who'd wear this watch, this is like a joke. I don't care if it's Jay-Z, whatever. I mean, fuck Jay-Z's. The guy's got no taste. I know he's got some expensive watches. What the fuck does that mean? So, I mean, again, another Jacob watch. I mean, again, the gem setting, whatever, great. But tourbillon, okay, very nice, whatever. Outside of that, like, it's not a serious watch. Let's see here. They're talking about Hitler's watches. I think Patrick wanted to buy Hitler's watch. You can see he was very interested in the Führer's watch.
Not to get rid of him, to make sure that the world doesn't forget. I'm Jewish, so
anyway,
I know. There's a lot of Jewish collectors out there that collect Nazi memorabilia.
Would you buy this? Would you buy this watch?
No.
Why wouldn't you buy it?
To me, it's I have.
Anyway, so So Roman's not buying the Hitler watch. Patrick is interested in the Hitler watch.
And completely anti-fake stuff. If we did a charity event with them, guy walks in with a Richard Mille, and
Yeah,
that's it.
Let's skip.
That's the one.
What's the most unique thing he's got?
Oh shit! Then Roman is selling him the Purnell. He whips out the What is the deal? I think they must have gotten some deep discounts on the Purnell watches, which again are dogs. I understand it's some sort of whatever complication, whatever. But the Purnell watch, nobody wants it. I think Luxury Bazaar probably gets him for like 80% off or something. Liquidations.
That's it. That's the one.
What's the most unique thing he's got?
It's tough to say because there's really no information. I never sold him watches. I wish I did. I would love that he wore.
That's it.
Okay. Now watch this. Watch it. Okay, now
I want to know what this customer is looking for. Okay.
Okay, so this is what. Okay, so here is what Patrick wants. So if any of you low life Muppet boiler room watch dealers are watching this, backpack Muppet boiler room dealers, this is what this guy wants.
Thing with history tied to my community: Iran, Shah, Assyrian.
But so this guy claims to be. So he's from Iran. He claims to be half Assyrian, half Armenian. Now, okay, so Armenian actually there's a bunch of Armenians, or I don't know, there's 20. There's a big community, right? Assyria, you tell me any famous Assyria? That's like a country, or it was a country. It was became extinct. I think there's like 2 million Assyrians or something. I don't know.
Armenian.
Pull up Audemars Piguet Cobra.
Okay. By the way, this is a watch. So this is a watch that we've been talking about on the channel for a long time. Again, dog with fleas, but I told you guys that this watch was going up in value, and sure enough, it did.
Go to my website. Actually, go to luxurybazaar.com. Shameless plug. Type in Cobra. Just click the whole thing right here. Or just go to Audemars Piguet. It's fine.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, this is interesting. Hold on a second. So Roman Sharf, he must have bought how many?
So
this is the one.
So the watch.
He's got a whole inventory of the Cobras. He's loaded up on these. Holy shit! Look at the prices he's asking. He's asking crazy prices. So this watch in the basic configuration was going for about $8,000 a year ago. Now you couldn't give it away. I've said this. I've talked about the story like a million times, right? But it is such a funky watch. It's so ugly that it's kind of cool. That was my thesis. And the Shah of Iran had he was photographed with this watch. I mean, this is not his main watch. His main watch was, I think, he was famous for the Royal Oak. He was the first buyer of the Royal Oak, one of the first guys to buy the Nautilus, the original Nautilus. And what else did he have? And then he had this thing, the Audemars Piguet. They called it Cobra, which on the wrist, the bracelet is atrocious. It just flares out. It's ridiculous. It is, it's true. That absolutely. There's some weird stuff that went on with Jay-Z and Diddy and Beyonce and who knows, also weird stuff. Believe me, you guys don't want to know. But anyway, so Roman. So this watch, you couldn't give this away. We've been following this more. I've been commenting on this thing for the last year. So it was about $8,000. Then in January, prices started going up. I was at the Miami Beach Antique Show, the watch show. There was a guy who had this for like around $8,000. I had it on the wrist, and it was like, you know what? I was going to buy it as a speculation, but I was like, you know what? I don't know. Anyway, now they're going for $25,000 plus. So what he has here, what Roman has here, is kind of more unusual examples of this watch. And he's got crazy prices on them. So Aventurine dial for $95,000. Hard pass. The day and date in white gold. That's another hard pass. You don't want that. You want the basic configuration, just a blue dial. Gold lapis, 100 grand for a lapis. Again, they didn't make that many of them, but here's what you got to realize. So this is just a hot trend, but this is not going to last. Okay, this stuff, nobody can wear these watches. They're kind of ugly. It's just kind of like a hipster thing. I'm surprised. I mean, these prices are not real prices. I can't believe it. Anybody who pays this money for these watches is going to get seriously hurt. You're going to get seriously hurt. Again, now this is not, nothing to do with the Roman. It's kind of maybe the market is a little bit high. I don't know if I don't know what these are probably going for. I don't know what kind of, or these prices are ridiculous. Actually, I don't know where he's getting these prices from. These are crazy prices. These watches are going to be basically unsellable in a couple of years. It's just a hype thing. It's just a temporary hype thing. Believe me, I told you about the Cobra. It's just a pump and dump. Okay, this thing is just, and he's basically pumping it up. He's stuck with this inventory.
If you go third to the right, that's the watch that he wore.
That's his?
Not his.
No, it's not.
If it was his, it'd be a lot more money.
What I'm saying to you is I want what was his. I want to know what he had. I'm interested in that.
Okay.
Because if you got something like that, or
by the way, interesting, in our video review of the Shah's watch collection, we talk about the Rolex. The Shah had a white gold Rolex. He made a custom edition, white gold Rolex with it was the case. The case was a like the oyster, the quartz, like the one that I had for the quartz. It was a date, automatic, but it was like the quartz thing. But I think he had a purple dial or a reddish dial. It's in our video. It's on the channel. Look for the Shah of Iran watch collection review. And in the video, I was saying, hey, this watch, I think there's 5 that were made. I think he gave them to like family and friends. And it was a custom order from Rolex for the Shah. And what I said in the video is, hey, if one of these came to market, what do you guys think it would sell for today? And I said, hey, who the buyer? I bet this guy, Patrick Bet-David or Manny Koshbin, those guys would be buyers of that watch for 500 grand plus. Now, the guy from Monaco Legends, what's his name, David Parmigiani, says one of those would be worth about 400 grand today, 300 to 400. I think it would be 500 grand plus. I bet Patrick would buy that watch for $1 million if it came to the market.
We got 4 years to go till I'm 50. If we find out someone that we can make something that's going to be unique to people that are important in my life,
I can get that done in the next 2 weeks, so don't worry about it.
So that's the other one to be thinking about, to be unique from a bigger name that we have. Okay, so that's that part. And then the last one would be a one-off from, Patek or somebody like that we can make for the family. I would have a lot of interest in that, to put something there. So if we had to...
Well, I appreciate you giving me Mission Impossible. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast and leaving me with Mission Impossible.
You said you were very competitive, man. I said, let's do it. Let's have a conversation
We'll make it
together.
happen for sure.
Yeah, so those are the things that I'm interested in. To me, I don't have any fake watches. I'm not in a business of having fake watches. To me, it's purely about passing it down to the kids. I've never sold a watch.
Exactly
I've literally never bought a watch to sell the watch. Even when you and I were talking about that Grandmaster, I would have bought that to one day, give it to my grandkids. I would have bought that.
Okay, by the way, that's like the dumbest thing. People say, yeah, I'm going to give it down to my your grandkids or your kids, they're probably not going to be interested in wearing what you had. I mean, maybe, yeah, it's got sentimental value, whatever, but the tastes are going to be completely different. For sure, the Grandmaster chime. You think this guy's grandkids are going to want to wear a Grandmaster chime? I mean, nobody could wear that watch. It's an unwearable watch, basically. Nobody wears that watch.
To keep it in the
I have 3 children, so you preach into the choir. I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah.
That's one of the most important things in life to me is my family. That's the #1 most important thing. I told you before, for me, it's...
You know what your kids want? They want cash. That's what they want. They want cash. They don't want your watches. I mean, really, everybody they can have their own taste, right? It's kind of it's a nice sentiment. Whatever. Everybody wants to be remembered. They want after they're gone, they want their kids to think about them, while they're wearing something. It's a normal human thing. But you know what? The reality is, they're going to want to wear a new watch, or they might not even have watches by then. 50 years from now, who knows? Who knows what's going to be happening in the world? I have no idea, actually. When I talk about the watch market, I'm only talking about the next 5 years. I have no idea where things are going to be 10 years from now. Yeah, I have no idea. 5 years out is the furthest you could really tell with stuff like this, because it's a fashion thing at the end of the day.
Relationship. Somebody has
giving away 9.5s for nothing, dude. PSA is not going to give you a 9.5. They're going to give.
Okay. Anyway, so that is the deal. All right, guys. So that wraps it up. Thank you everybody for joining. And again, make sure you click the subscribe button, and you check out our upcoming auction, December 4th. Watches, fine art. Unbelievable but true. That's right. By the way, this is Cagno painting. If you can get this for $5,000, this is the type of thing you give to your kids. This is going to be worth, at a gallery, it's worth probably $12,000 today. It'll be worth $25,000 at auction, I would say, within the maybe 5 years, 3 to 5 years. That's where it's going. Again, there you go. We got one at Philips. Philips is selling one for 10 to 15, and it's not as good because this is 1983, and you don't want the 80s. You don't want the 80s. The 80s is abstract expressionism is only 1950s to early 60s. Anything after early 60s is à la poubelle. All right, garbage, worthless. Sorry. So this is garbage. The painting that we have in the auction is the desirable thing. Again, it's not it doesn't have to be your taste. I think the painting is actually ugly. Okay, I mean, it's like it's not for me, not my type of thing. But it's a very important artist. It's actually it's kind of when you get into it, it's a very, very good painting. What's interesting is he was good friends with a guy named Buford Delaney, who was a black artist from the 60s. Black art is also big. Women artists, black artists. So Buford Delaney, actually, they were lovers. That's right. They were homosexual lovers. In the 50s in Paris, Buford Delaney is actually becoming an important artist. And I sold a Buford Delaney painting a couple of years back. So Buford Delaney, what makes Buford Delaney valuable is he was actually a pretty good artist, but of course he's got the backstory. Also, he ended up in an insane asylum. So, that adds to the story. But these colors are very Buford Delaney-like. Definitely an influence. This painting might get 20, 50 grand, actually. I just realized that these are Buford Delaney colors. Buford Delaney, very hot artist. If this was a Buford Delaney painting, it would be 50 grand, 75 grand today. How about this Guy Bardone? This is actually a beautiful painting for $3,000. Nice frame. This frame is probably a $2,000 frame. Gilt frame. South of France. Beautiful blue. This is a beautiful blue color. Mint condition. Maurice Sartou, another French painter. Actually, this is a pretty cool painting. Abstract, lyrical abstraction. Probably $2,000. Bargain. Oh yeah, speaking of 1980s art, Basquiat and what's his name? The guy with the basketballs. What's his name again? So this was from that same period, 1980s East Village scene in New York. This is Rodney Allen Greenblatt, shown at the Gracie Mansion Gallery. So very important gallery for 1980s East Village art. And it was later sold by Martin Lawrence, who also sold Keith Haring art. So Keith Haring in the early 80s, it was all part of that same scene, this guy. And you can get this for $5,000, which is a bargain. This is, at some point, this is going to be worth a lot of money. It's a huge painting, by the way. This is huge. It's 6 feet tall, 76 inches. Kostabi, Kenny Sharf. It's actually a very fun painting, very cool painting. If you have the patience, this is going to be worth big money in 20. If you hold it for 10 years, it's going to be like one of those paintings that's going to be worth a lot of money, because historically it's a very Greenblatt. Was he an art critic? Rodney Greenblatt? Was he an art critic? I think he became a video game designer. I don't know if you. I think I think you're talking about the different guy. You're talking about what the hell is his name? No, Rodney Greenblatt. From what information I could find is in the 80s, like basically after the kind of the art market crashed in the 80s. He moved to Tokyo or something. I think he's a video game designer. I think he makes video games. He does something, but you could, he's, this is very, very like, again, Kenny Sharf. If this was a Kenny Sharf, this would be a $100,000 painting. It's all, again, these things are all, they go in cycles. Like you couldn't, like, just like that AP Cobra, you couldn't give away an AP Cobra for $8,000 12 months ago. Today it's $30,000, right? What's out of fashion becomes fashion. This is going to be very hot at some point. You might have to wait. Again, art is goes in cycles. Lowry, who's that? The English guy? Yeah, it's garbage. Oh, you're talking about Clement Greenberg? Yeah. No. This is Greenblatt, 1980s. Clement Greenberg is 1950s. Different era. But yeah. By the way, so interestingly, Phillips. Let's go back to Phillips. Our good friends at Phillips. So I showed you that painting is from the Gracie Mansion Gallery, right? Hang on a second now. Who was actually an important, that was an important gallery in the East Village in the 80s, right? And they have a painting here from another guy from that gallery. Who do they have? Let me show you. Oh, this is the evening sale. Hang on a second. Just to give you historical context, and then we're going to wrap up. I'll give you some historical context because this show is all about historical context. Oh shit, I missed the boat on this. Some guy contacted me a couple of years ago. Said he had like a warehouse full of these Alice Baber paintings. It is pure garbage, but it's $60,000. I missed the boat. The guy went MIA, but he had like a whole bunch of these. I could have gotten them for like, I don't know, $500, $1,000 a piece, maybe $1,500 a piece. But again, that was what the market was. You couldn't really give them away. Now they're $60,000. I'd be embarrassed to hang that in my room. Let's take a look at Norman Lewis. This is a black artist. Again, black art, very hot. Norman Lewis, very, very serious painter. Blue chip, 20 by 40. This is a serious piece. This is going to be 7 figures in probably 5 to 7 years. maybe 7 years. Okay, so let's take a look at where's our good friend from the what the hell is this? Edu Shea Basquiat, Hughley Smith, what is this? Oscar Blumer. Okay, here we go. No, I can't find it. Where is it? Oh yeah, here we go. David Wojnarowicz. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce his name. So David Wojnarowicz, kind of a weird guy. I never understood his thing. He's kind of has some sort of following. He's kind of like an 80s New York artist. Again, part of that scene, vaguely Warhol-esque. I never understood his thing. He does get some strong prices. It's very weird stuff. I can't get into it. 1984, okay, 50 to 70,000, and let's look at the provenance. Gracie Mansion Gallery. Gracie Mansion Gallery, 1984. So this painting was exhibited in 1984 at the Gracie Mansion Gallery, right? East Village, 50 to 70,000. And our Rodney Greenblatt painting, same gallery, probably same show. Wait, hang on, Rodney Greenblatt. Let's go back to Rodney Greenblatt. What's the year? That's the label. What year is this? There's no date on it. I think there's a date somewhere. There's got to be a date somewhere. There's got to be a date. So it's early. It's probably 1983 or 1984. So I guarantee you they're probably in the same show, but very similar. So Rodney Greenblatt, again, obviously Gracie Mansion considered Rodney Greenblatt on par with this guy. Meanwhile, this is, 4 or 5 grand. And this one is 50 to 70,000. And this is trash. That's kind of the arbitrage opportunity, right? That's what's the deal. What is going on? What's going on is the CSE. I've talked about this on my Twitter feed. The stock is halted. I mean, I don't know. The exchange is basically hassling us. There's lawyers involved. We'll see what happens. There's a hearing coming up in a couple of weeks. But again, that's what happens in Canada. I should never have merged this company into a Canadian company. Canada is a pure garbage country. It's leftist communist country now, run by leftist Marxist bureaucrats. It's totally out of control, which is a shame because at one point Canada was this kind of frontier place. You had these rugged individualists, and now they're all a bunch of pussies, and they're afraid of the government. Bellows. George Bellows is a great artist. George Bellows is, I don't know, 20 years. Fuck, 20 years. Shit, 20 years. I'm looking 5 years. 20 years. Who knows? The planet may not be around in 20 years. but the problem with George Bellows is there's very little material. So there's very, 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 very few things ever come on the market. The guy died, what is he, in his 30s? Or he died young, relatively young. So all his good pieces are basically the institution. You're not going to get a George Bellows. I mean, George Bellows is kind of like, you're talking about like, at this point, it's almost like Vermeer. It's not a lot of material out there, or good material. But great artist. Although it's more regional. He's kind of like a New York guy more. So I don't know if it translates globally. People want stuff that's global. Like, so this Wojnarowicz, the problem with this is it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just weird. It's very like too specific. It's too American or whatever. You got to read English to understand this, whereas this is universal. And by the way, that's an artist-made frame. So he made this. Rodney Greenblatt made this frame. He, you know, it's so it's one thing, right? It's painted wood frame. Yeah, this is like the type of thing you hang in your kids. If you have like a young kid, like you hang it in their bedroom. Hopefully they don't damage the painting. But I think it would be very inspirational if, you know, maybe if you have like I don't know, but, you know, with kids, I don't know, they might destroy the painting. But this is a fun painting, or even for, it's a huge size. So it's like really like for, I don't know, corporate office. You have a .com or something, you want to be cool. You want to, you know, if you're, that's what you get. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Gildan, there you go. So, Gildan, are you going to sign up for the auction? We got deals. You obviously you know your art, so you know we got some incredible deals. We got deals, bargains on some. Speaking of American art, we got a Harold Sterner surrealist painting, kind of the George Bellows era, a little bit after. We got Joseph Cornell, actually a very important artist, 1960s. And what does this remind you of? Twitter, right? He's a surrealist kind of. It's a collage. It's basically birds talking. That's a joke, right? The guy was like a humorist. Beautiful painting, right? Wait till you see the back. That's the back. Why is the sky dark at night? That's what the birds are saying. So it's Plexi, Joseph Cornell, owls. I mean, you get your money's worth with this painting. Okay. And what do we have it at? 18 to 25,000. This actually went through bottoms a couple of years ago. So, yeah. What else we got? American art. On a remake, this guy's actually very big. Prices are going up. I don't really care for this guy, but the market likes this guy. And who am I to argue? On a remake. Posters, get the fuck out of here. Posters, we don't do posters. No comic books, no baseball cards. No posters. Posters are basically posters. You know what's interesting? The guy who sold me my first watch, my first Rolex and Patek. This guy he was like a ticket scalper, and this guy was like a hustler. He did tickets. He was a ticket scalper, and then but he kept all his basically money in watches and French posters. You know, 1920s, 19th century posters. Now the poster market went in the toilets. I don't know. The guy may have lost all his money with the posters. Posters, yeah. Speaking of George Bellows, American School painting, mystery artist. I don't know. It's unsigned. This could be, I don't know. This could be $1 million painting. We don't know. I mean, this is amazing, actually. Unbelievable, but true. And this is going to be cheap. This is going to be, I mean, this could be seriously, you know, I don't know. Oh, Houdini, yeah. No, that's what this guy was into. All that stuff. The problem with the posters is they're very big. They take up a lot of space, and you know, I don't know, posters. I don't like works on paper you know, if something gets damaged, you're really screwed because it's hard to repair or work some paper. It's a nightmare. Hey, you want a poster? This is original. Ooh, this is a bad picture. It's out of focus. This is original mural design for the ceiling of the Elks Lodge in Chicago, Art Deco era. It's kind of a poster. Eugene Savage, Elks Lodge. Anybody from Chicago, this is like, that's the image. It was, again, designed for a ceiling, mural ceiling in that shape. Amazing. Yeah, this guy's actually George Bellows era, James Chapin. Sort of like Cézanne-esque, Cézanne. You know, Ashcan School. Ashcan School, you know, woman reading a newspaper. Yeah, this is like a George Bellows right there. You got a poor man's George Bellows, 1924. Poor man's George Bellows. What do you talk about George Bellows, 20 million. I'm giving you a George Bellows for $2,000 right here. All right. With that said, thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you in the next one.